Welcome back, KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Arabsky. We are learning some Minnesotans are owed thousands of dollars from the state government and may not even know it. Jennifer Hoff has the story behind a property settlement years in the making, leaving millions for the taking, but only for a couple more months.
In North Minneapolis is a modest condominium at the center of a years-long case that would make its way to the country's highest court.
That's right.
Led by longtime lawyer Vildan Teske.
I would say this case is certainly a highlight of my career.
Teske's fight this time focused on Geraldine Tyler, who owned that condo. Moving away in 2010, but property taxes and penalties kept piling up to the tune of $15,000. Eventually, Hennepin County seized it, selling it for an extra $25,000, money state law allowed it to keep until Tyler filed a lawsuit.
We felt that even though this statute had been on the books for 90 years, it just was not right, and it took over 7 years to get to the point where we are today. But it felt like this was a worthy cause for us to spend our time and energy on.
Minnesota was one of 12 states that kept revenue surplus from forfeited sales that can generate money for local governments, like Hennepin County, that got about $3.7 million between 2017 and 2022, according to APM Research Lab, a nonpartisan data hub. Vildan, the first to argue that is unconstitutional, and the U.S. Supreme Court agreed, calling it equity theft in a unanimous decision 2 years ago.
It is a principle of law that government cannot take more than what it is owed. And that is the entire point of the U.S. Supreme Court decision.
I think they were surprised.
Matt Hilgart helps run the Association of Minnesota Counties, now figuring out how to move forward since the law changed last year.
If you're going to mandate us to run the tax forfeiture process, and we're going to do good things like, hey, clean these properties up, then we need resources to do that, because distressed properties or abandoned properties doesn't serve anyone good.
Hilgart argues becoming blighted doesn't do much for anyone's bottom line, pointing to Stearns County that had 11 forfeited properties in 2022 and $313,000 of unpaid taxes combined, the county only selling them for $112,000, forcing officials to impose levies on the community to make up the difference.
By no means was this ever a revenue-generating venture for most counties throughout the state.
For Teske, though, it's righting a wrong.
That's right.
By paying people back.
They are skeptical at first, some of them are, and rightfully so. These days there are a number of scams out there.
Not a scam, but a settlement with the state now worth $109 million that for some could be as much as six figures.
Which is nothing to turn your nose up at nowadays.
Not at all. Not at all. It's real money. It is meaningful for many people who have fallen on hard times and have had financial difficulties that led to them falling behind on their taxes, and this can make a real difference for them.
Even for Geraldine Tyler, who stood up for what she was worth.
Jennifer Hoff reporting there. Unfortunately, Tyler died 2 months ago, but her family is still entitled to her part of that settlement. In fact, upwards of 15,000 people are. If you lost any kind of property anytime after 2012, we posted the information to file a claim at KARE11.com, but you only have until June 6th to do that, or the money goes back to the state. Well, the woolly mammoth, the dodo bird, the Tasmanian tiger, these animals have all been extinct for a long time, but what if you could see those animals in the flesh in your lifetime? That could soon become a reality. A Dallas-based company intends to resurrect each one and reintroduce them into the wild. Meredith Yeoman sat down with the company's chief animal officer to find out how and why these animals of the past could once again roam the earth.
We lean into sort of being young and edgy, and the building fits that, I think.
In this historic building in Deep Ellum, behind these glass doors is a colossal effort to bring some of the most famously extinct animals back to life.
This scientifically is not only achievable, but it will happen. And in the next few years, you will see species coming back from extinction.
The WILD mission comes from a company called Colossal Biosciences, which is working to de-extinct the woolly mammoth, lost 4,000 years ago. Matt James is Colossal's chief animal officer.
We're creating technologies that are going to change tomorrow with de-extinction. But what's amazing is those technologies right now are making a difference to endangered species conservation today.
Using DNA from Asian elephants and DNA recovered from woolly mammoths frozen in the Arctic tundra, researchers at Colossal are using gene editing technology to change the genome of an Asian elephant until it reflects that of a woolly mammoth.
And as it turns out, the Asian elephant and the woolly mammoth are 99.6% genomically similar.
And that's just part of the project. Inside its labs in Dallas, work is underway to create artificial wombs to grow a woolly mammoth calf. Colossal has set a due date for the year 2028. You guys could witness the birth of a woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
Do you think about?
I think about it all the time. When I was offered this position and I was sort of considering my life choices and this amazing opportunity to work at Colossal, my little brother called me actually and he said, "Do you understand you could be the first modern human to ever see a woolly mammoth? You could be the first person that's there to take that photo with a mammoth." And that opportunity is not lost on me. That privilege is incredible, and it's an amazing driving force.
But there's an even bigger driving force. James says restoring a mammoth ecosystem can preserve permafrost, or ground that remains frozen, and slow the release of greenhouse gases.
This is probably worth 100 different lifetimes of achievement in order to accomplish this goal. But we have to push as fast as we can because we are facing this imminent threat of global climate change.
Since announcing its intention for the woolly mammoth, Colossal has announced similar plans for the dodo bird and Tasmanian tiger, a startup trying to resurrect extinct animals by harnessing the power of modern technology.
Wow. Producer Dallas was just reminding me that there was some movie made back in the day about this. It was like a big blockbuster. And a quote from that movie goes, "They were so enamored that they could, that they never stopped and wondered if they should," which is something we'll certainly be focusing on as this story moves forward. By the way, work is also underway on the habitats to rewild the animals at sustainable levels. Since launching in 2021, Colossal Biosciences has raised $225 million for its research. Fascinating. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up at the break.